253.
Squawk 36.
Right, Kilo 6, Bravo 2, runway 23, requesting
Matt Skinna Godwin here. I'm the Events Director at Qantas Virtual, and today we're just going to be running through a short video on VATSIM, specifically departures, and we're going to be running through the calls you need to make and how everything looks from the air traffic control's point of view. This was recorded live on VATSIM. This wasn't planned, hence the resolution is a little bit bad, but what we lose in visuals we'll make up with information. Now I'm just dubbing over this, so I'm going to chop and change and pause, but we're still going to get what we need to see and the information we need to know. Alright, just quickly, Qantas 2064 is the aircraft that we're going to be looking at. He's off to Launceston. It's a 737, so he's going to call soon. Let's get this started up. And once he calls, I'm going to go through what he called for, what everything means, and any differences you will expect. Okay, we'll just pause this here and we'll have a look. This is pretty much the flight plan you send through. We've got our origin airport, destination, alternate airports, our true airspeed, altitude, departure times, en route times. That's everything that gets entered on the flight plan side in your client, whether it be Squawk Box, FSN, etc. Your route here, this has already been changed by me for the SID. So normally you'll just have ML or YMML, so you don't need to worry about that bit as much. And our remarks here, this will be in the text supplement, so you don't need to worry too much about that. I've entered, as I mentioned, the SID, the squawk code, and the temporary altitude, which in this case I did make a mistake. It should be 5,000 for a jet, but I put 3,000. Okay, so we're gonna go and wait for him to call clearance.
Melbourne Approach, Qantas 2064 requesting IFR clearance to Launceston.
Qantas 2064, g'day Melbourne Approach. You are cleared to Launceston via Cause flight plan route. Cause 5 departure, runway 27, climb and maintain 3000 initial, squawk 3163, and departures are with me on 132.0.
Clear to Launceston via Course 5, runway 27, climb maintain 3000, squawk 3163, and 132.0 for departures. Qantas 2064.
Now there was a little bit of a mistake here. When the call was made, he didn't include the ATC, which in this case is Sierra, and there's the ATC there. While it's not really important, it's always good to confirm you've got the correct ATC, so you know which runways are open, the wind conditions, sky conditions, etc. But anyway, pretty much, yeah, on the client side you call for IFR clearance, and I will give you your destination airport, it's destination airport, then your first waypoint in the flight plan, which in this case is Cause. A Cause 5 departure, that's your SID, with the runway 27, climb and maintain your initial altitude, which in this case should be 5,000. The assigned squawk code, which is random, 3163 in this case, and the departure for frequency. If there is, say, tower on, we will still give you the departure frequency, but you need to get ready to switch over to tower if you're going from ground. Alright, so we'll continue. as I said, this was recorded live, other aircraft coming in, going out, just to mix things up. Velocity 721, confirm visual with the ground.
Visual with Melbourne, sir.
Alright, velocity 721, descend of 4,000.
Descending 4,000 velocity 721.
Now, I've left this in, although it's not in the scope of this video, but I've left it in for a good reason. When air traffic control asks you if you are visual, and you, for example, this guy's still 30 miles out, we're asking for your conditions, like if you're in cloud, on top of cloud, or you can see the ground. So we can lower you down further than we normally would. In this arc here, I'm not sure if you can see the numbers, but that's a 50, which means we can, if you're in cloud, we can drop you down to a minimum of 5,000 feet. If you are visual with the ground, we can descend you further to 40, 30, 25, whatever we want, with the onus on you to remain separation from the ground. So yeah, in 721's case, yeah, he's being descended lower than the MPA, but that's alright because he is in visual with the ground. We don't specifically mean if you can see the airfield, just on the ground.
And Qantas 2064, press push and start at Charlie 7.
Qantas 2064, push approved, start at your discretion.
Push start approved, Qantas 2064.
Alright, that's the generic push and start call. In one of my training courses for ATC, I was informed that as a pilot you don't need to call for startup. That's something that is done by the ramp crew, and the airline. Air traffic control has nothing to do with that, so there's really no need to call for start. But you know, if you want to, there's nothing wrong with it. So, and again, he's called first of all with the bay number, which is handy, which I'll explain in a second.
Melbourne Approach, QLink 142 Delta, request push and start, Bravo 25.
QLink 142 Delta, push approved, start at your discretion. Alright, now we've had two aircraft call for push and start. One of them is our man in 2064 and the other is another QLink flight. And we have three aircraft here that are squawking standby, which is good. That's what you're meant to do on the ramp. But which one is which? You know, from my point of view, I don't know. But they're both called with their gate numbers. We have Terminal B here, Terminal C here. So I know Qantas 2064 is this guy here in the middle. So now I know where to taxi them from if they need, you know, when they call for taxi. If you don't call with a bay number, I'm going to ask you, so you might as well include it in your push and taxi clearance instructions, just to make everything a little bit easier. So we'll continue. Okay, I'll just skip forward a little bit here to the taxi call. Not a lot really happened in the meantime, so don't worry, you didn't miss anything.
Melbourne Approach, Qantas 2064, request taxi 27.
Qantas 2064, taxi to Papa, holding point, runway 27.
Fly holding point, runway 27, Qantas 2064.
That was a simple taxi instruction straight to the holding point due to the vicinity of the aircraft with the runway. If you had to get taxied any further, you would include any other taxiways, but without making it too confusing. So we won't give you every single taxiway, otherwise you might end up with 6 or 7 to read back and remember. It can get tricky, so only the main ones and the holding point for that runway.
And Qantas 2064 ready to go, Papa.
Qantas 2064, line up, wait, and squawk mode Charlie.
Silent for rate on 827, Qantas 2064.
Alright, 2064 has been given clearance to line up and wait on the runway. Squawk mode Charlie, seeing as though he's still squawking standby, before you can get takeoff clearance, you need to be squawk mode Charlie so we can identify you. Now he's going to line up and wait because we have velocity 721 here on short final. He gets preference for the runways, so he will come in and land, and 2064 will be departing after that. And you see he's just squawked mode Charlie, that the tag has turned up. And that is a good example why you shouldn't squawk mode Charlie on the apron, otherwise my screen gets filled. And it just makes everything a lot harder. As you can see, Qantas 5000 in the corner there. Okay, and we've skipped forward here again. Velocity 721 has just landed, so 2064 is about to get takeoff clearance. Qantas 2064 winds are 170 at 8 knots, clear for takeoff runway 27. Contact me airborne.
Fuel takeoff 27, Qantas 2064.
There is no real need to read back the winds. If you know the ATC, you know the winds. It's just it's just really a courtesy.
On approach, Qantas 2064 airborne, passing 2300 for 3000.
Qantas 2064 identified, climb flight level 180.
180, Qantas 2064.
Alright, that's a good example of what to do. Once you're airborne, under control of the aircraft, you need to call up with your passing altitude. That way we know that the dot on our screen is the aircraft you're flying in. There's no mistakes on that part, so we can give you vectors if required, or follow you on your SID, make sure everyone's doing the right thing. Now he's been cleared up to flight level 180, which is the top of Melbourne Approach, approaches the airspace. So we'll see in a second what happens when he gets close to the edge of my airspace and I hand him off. So until then, he's still in my control. Now you can see here, Qantas 2064, I can see on my screen he is passing flight level 169. He's coming close to the top of my airspace. We have his handover frequency here, that's popped up, which is Unicom 122.8. Seeing as though there's no other ATC available, he's off to Unicom outside my area. If there was Melbourne Centre, that frequency would come up here entering their airspace. Now it was bad timing. I was just about to send 2064 off to Unicom, but I'm getting another call for flight clearance. So in this case, 2064 has to level off at 180 until I can clear him, or I can change his frequency, and therefore he's cleared up to his cruise level.
Melbourne Approach, SR 472 to Williamstown, request clearance.
472, g'day Melbourne Approach. You are cleared to Williamstown via Docell flight planned route. Docell 8 departure, runway 27. Climb and maintain 5000 initial, squawk 3072, and departures with me 132.0.
Clear to Williamstown via Docell planned route. Docell 8 departure, runway 27. 5000 initially, squawk 3072, and departures 132.0, Docell 472.
472, break. Qantas 2064, no further ATC available. Switch to Unicom 122.8 and enjoy the rest of your flight.
122A, thanks for your see. Have a good night. Qantas 2064.
Okay, and that's it. 2064 is now on Unicom, free from controlled airspace. Off to centre if it was there, but that pretty much ends our departure video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Easy to follow and wasn't too annoying listening to me blabber on. Alright guys, thanks for watching again. Enjoy the rest of your day.